Okay, so we are starting to record. So as I said, if you would rather, please feel free to turn your cameras off or blur your background, but it is lovely to see your faces. So today is Accountability Day, and I'm so pleased that we've got Judy in the house. So Judy is she has such a knack for remembering what people's goals are and following up with them and touching base with them. And I'm so pleased that she has offered to come into my group and to keep you guys accountable. So, Judy, it's so wonderful to see you here this morning. Thank you for coming along. So, what I'm going to do is I am going to share my screen, and we're going to go here, and we're going to go here. Okay, so let me just move you guys up and out of the way. Okay, so accountability firmly sets in the goal setting area of the things that we do as part of a sustainable, profitable business. It helps keep us on track. So, oh, here we go. Oh no, here we go. We're going to, that's it. Okay, so the agenda we've got today is we're going to have 20 minutes, roughly, give or take, talking about accountability. What is it? How we do it in the group, and ways we can take advantage of the group to keep ourselves accountable. We've got the lovely Erika with us, who reached out to me during the week and has had some wonderful learnings from an art launch. And it's a really similar situation to exactly what I went through. And what I realized is what Erika went through, I actually think is part of the launch process. I actually think it's something that we all go through. And it was really kind of Erika to reach out so we could all learn. So we're going to have a chat to Erika, and then we'll have 20 minutes or so at the end, and we'll do Q&A. So, sorry, my mouse is really sensitive this morning. Okay, so the role of accountability. So what is it? So it enables us to objectively evaluate goals at the end of the month. So the goals that we set ourselves at the start of the month, it enables us to go through with an eye for what we've achieved during the month, what we could have done better during the month, and what did we learn during the month. So what we've achieved during the month, it's so great to actually be able to tick things off and feel that sense of achievement, feel like you have actually made progress. And then what could you have done better during the month? You know, this isn't a criticism. This is more about, could I have done that differently? Could I have, like I'll give you an example of that. Like for me, when I'm looking back at the week that I've just had, which was a launch week for me, and the timing that I picked way back whenever I picked it was terrible. I couldn't have chosen a worse week if I tried. So for me, the learning and all of that is actually be mindful that you have got a launch going on and be kind to yourself. So for my work week, I had 2 or 3 massive projects due, and I was helping a friend out also who was launching a business. Now, that's all really good, but what that meant was it actually took me away from what I needed to be doing for myself. So that was a real learning for me, and I know I could have done it better. So now going into this week, I'm like, okay, I have to show up for my art. I have to show up for my launch. So it's just looking at it and going, what could you have done differently? What could you have done better? So that you can then go and rephrase that for the next week or the next month. And then that really nicely leads in. So what did you learn during the month? And for me, because I do a lot of learning, and, I constantly do master classes and all sorts of things so that one, I can share with you, but also because it helps me grow. So I commit a lot of time to learning, and I actually jot down all the courses I do. And at the end of a month, it's like, wow, I actually did, like, if I haven't done anything else particularly, I've done an awful lot of learning, which is such a great growth goal to have. So accountability also enables you to objectively evaluate your goals at the end of the month so that you can plan for the following month and also transfer any tasks that you didn't complete. So when I say month, it also could be week. So any tasks you've not completed in that week, or any tasks at the end of the month that you've not completed in that month, remember to transfer them over. Don't drop the ball on anything that you've started. Just transfer them over. There's no need to be hard on yourself, but don't forget they're there. And just, it's a great little check to remind yourself what your goals are and those steps that you've got to put in place so that you can achieve those goals. So document your progress. And I don't know whether you can see that little bar there. I'm just going to move that over the way. Okay, so document your progress. So a great way to keep a track of your achievements is to journal them. So many planners and diaries will have a place for monthly or weekly reflection at the end of the week. Use that. Like, it's a great place to look back. If it's weekly, jot those down at the end of every week. And then when you get to the month, go back and read those pages. Go back and have a look at the goals you kicked, how your launch went, what you were working on. Look at your goal sheets. Look at what you've achieved. Journal and take note of what you could have done better. Think about it. Unpack those feelings and then again journal these. I was pretty hard on myself this week with my launch and how I could have shown up better for it. But it doesn't, I'm not going to do myself any favors by living in that place. I've got to just go, right, so I have to show up better and move on. Don't dwell there. You don't need to unpack and move in. You just need to acknowledge those feelings, understand that you could have done something a little better, note that down in your task to do for this coming week and move on. Don't dwell there because you're not going to do yourself any favors. Just acknowledge those feelings and move on. And that's where journals and writing just play such a great part in this progress. And then, as I said before, I also keep a track of what I've learned during the month so that I can document my progress. Because, when you're learning, you're actually growing as a person, and even if it's the classes that you've taken, write about them, talk about them in your journal, make a note of what you're doing. Because when you look back, it's a great reflection and a great sense of achievement. So I really encourage you, if you're not journalers, this is a really great place to start. Or if your planner or your diary has a space for that, use that for this task as well. So most of all, celebrate your success. We all work hard, we all set goals, we all strive to achieve and tick the boxes so that we are working closer and closer to the goals that we set ourselves. And friends, as you do that, celebrate. It's such a wonderful achievement. And you know what? By writing them down and documenting them, it gives you an opportunity to really document how far you've come. And that's really what's so beautiful about goal setting, is that you can actually see what you've achieved and the tasks that you've done. So how can you take action on accountability? So as I mentioned before, participate in the monthly goal posts that are in the lab Facebook group. So Judy does a wonderful job of posting those. Make a note of what your goals are. Let us see what you're doing, because by putting it out there publicly, it makes you accountable as well. So participate in the weekly check-in posts. Let us know what you're doing, how you're going, what you've learned, what you could have done better. Just be honest, share that with us, because the more we all share, then everybody will start to share. And this is where accountability becomes absolutely gold. Ask questions and seek the group's input at any time. And I love the post that Danielle put in there. It was yesterday my time with the time frames. I get a bit confused, but I think it might have been last night for your time, where she was asking about the 3 styles of brand that she wanted, with different fonts and scripts, and where she had her name and artist underneath. Perfect. Use the group for that. That's exactly what it's here for. So come and share and ask questions. You know, we've got an absolute minefield of knowledge, but also of creativity in this group. And, you know, let's all tap in and help each other use that. So awesome post, Annie. Well done for posting. And I encourage the rest of you, you know, if you've got any questions or you need any help from the group, go ahead and ask. Don't be afraid, post anything at any time. You know, this isn't one of the groups where I'm going to go in and pull posts because they're not relevant. Ask away. This is your group to make it the way you need to be. So share your success with all so that we can all celebrate with you. You know, if your launch has gone well, let us know about it. We want to hear, you know, we want to hear what went well. And if you'd like to, I'd love you to come on to these Zooms with me and let's chat about it. And you'll see Erika do that shortly. And, you know, it's a great way to share your knowledge and what you've learned with everybody. And, you know, it's really kind to do so. So share your learnings. We're all here to learn from each other, which is exactly what I said just a moment ago. So I am going to pop this laptop down for a minute and I'm going to come back to the Zoom and I'm going to bring Erika on with me. So Erika, just bear with me for a second. I'm going to stop my share and I am going to, give me 1 minute. Wait till my little cursor comes back. Here we go. I'm going to spotlight myself and I am going to spotlight Erika. There she is. Hi, Erika. Now you're on.
Hello.
Well done. Yeah, you're on mute.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just great.
Okay. Excellent.
Thank you for reaching out to me during the week and for offering to come on and share your learnings from your latest launch. And I'm really excited to hear, because I don't know what, you know, we've not discussed what you're going to say, but I'm really excited to hear how your launch went, the lead into it, how the lead in went and what you think you could have done differently, and then how the actual launch went. Are you happy to take questions from anybody if anybody's got any questions along the way?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So if any of you have any questions of Erika, please come off mute and maybe raise your hand so that Erika can see someone's got a question, and I'll keep an eye on that too. Erika, over to you.
All right, hi. So I did a weird launch, and I kind of reached out because I feel like this is kind of turning into a recurring theme with me. I sold my first work of art when I was 16 and have sold consistently, you know, a handful of pieces for my last 25-6 years. So selling art is not new, but this creating a collection and launching it online is a new way of selling for me. Whether, you know, before, if it was just, I had a lot of commissions like in my early 20s, or, you know, creating shows for galleries and going that way, or the different art festivals and art fairs, you know. And so working in collections isn't completely new, but it's still kind of a newer thing for me. So I, like many of us here, have taken a class with Amanda about art sales, and I'm sure a lot of us have had experience, whether from her or someone else. So, you know, like, we all have a blueprint. We all know what to do to build up and lead up to a sale and what's proven. And I had decided I was going to do these hearts, and I was painting them in January at during paint alongs, and I was just really struggling with them. You know, and they're not different. They're the little 2x2, you know, kind of abstract. You know, most of us have done them in grids. Cute, affordable, should be an easy sell, should not be a problem. And I just faltered, and I journaled about, I wrote like 4 pages after about it. Like, I froze, I agonized, I ignored. I mean, if I wasn't in paint along, I really struggled to sit down and work on them. And the fun stuff, like putting on splatter and marker detail. And it wasn't even hard work. Like, I've done some hard paintings. Like, this wasn't hard stuff. This should have been fun. And so it's like this one thing of like, do you let it go and I don't know if I was being influenced by the narrative that we're talking about a lot, which really inspired me and I'm totally going to do, but we were talking about the like love notes to the world, and people had found the artwork and leaving artwork for others. I'm like, oh, wouldn't these just be so adorable to leave around for people to find, especially right now, it's cold and gray and winter. And so I kind of got caught up in that thought as well. And like, even while we were doing paint alongs, like I set up my little canvas light and I was recording myself painting while I'm interacting and doing, so I was doing all the things. And originally on my planner, I said I was going to launch on the 3rd of February, but then I decided I'm going to launch on January 31st because it's my parents' 45th, 6th, I don't know, they've been married a long time, 40 something wedding anniversary. And and I was gonna write a sappy post about their love. And I mean, I had the story. There was nothing to come up with. This was easy, done for, and I just couldn't do it. Like, and I kind of felt like I was that way with my nutcrackers in November is when I launched them. I have people who buy them. I do the, ornament size, the 4x6. I have people who buy them every year. So like I knew I had guaranteed sales, but still it just couldn't get the sale to launch. Like failure to launch just kept popping in my head. And so like
it's interesting, Erika.
Sure.
Can I just ask you? So
yeah,
coming into when you were creating your heart, you spoke about you weren't feeling them, like you weren't, and I wonder if that kind of talk started back at that point in time. Did you have that the same with your nutcrackers? Were you not just, you didn't feel like you loved them enough?
Maybe.
It's interesting, isn't it? I just heard
it
you
is
say that, and you often think about you've got to love your the art can hear you,
right?
Yeah.
And so that's because I've had trouble letting pieces go, ones that I really, really love. And I've had some that were just easy, but I still like loved and adored them. And I don't know. And I don't know if it's this identity crisis where, and this is something that I've really struggled with the last 20 years, is I'm in a middle class, well, even low economic. The community I live in has 3,500 people in it and is very blue collar and poverty stricken. Like 60% of our kids get free lunches at school because they're below poverty level. So, and then I taught there. So I want art to be affordable and accessible to all, right? And so I've always kind of struggled with that. But then I also want this elevated, high, sophisticated art too, right? And so I don't know, because I thought about that too. Like, is this just not what I'm going for? But I do enjoy these and like these and love them. And I know that my people who collect my art will love them as well. So yeah, so I don't know if that's it. I think I have more digging to do on the exactly why. But I had like leading up until about the 25th, I had really good engagement. I had good posts. I was posting regularly. I had reels. I was putting stuff in the stories that was getting some engagement going. And then when it kind of came time for the ask, I just bleh, just dropped it, flubbed it. And even like, so the day before I was supposed to launch, I hadn't even taken pictures yet. So I took the pictures, but of course the lighting was horrible that day. Like I couldn't get good light. I have horrible light in my house. The sunlight was not work. So I have these subpar pictures. And I was that night, I'm like, I'm just gonna put them out in the world. Nobody's interacted or shown interest. I don't have people saying on these, I love these, I can't wait till they're for sale. I'm just gonna let this go. And then I woke up the next morning and I was like, no, you put out there, and there might be some, you don't know who, but you put out there they were going to be on sale at 10 o'clock on the 31st. So do the work, make the posts, put them out there, and whatever doesn't sell, then I can go hide out in the world and give them away for free. And so that was the decision I made. And so like literally at 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm on Canva making the little posts that has their names and everything.
Yeah.
And and put it out there. And I mean, within the first 2-3 hours, I sold 4, 5, 6 of them. And then, you know, within the first, I mean, it was like in the first 48 hours, I think I got up to 12. So like I made 16 and sold most of them. I think I have 3 left now. So, you know, I don't know what I mean, I know there's a lesson in there, but
Yeah.
you just got to do, or I don't know if maybe like having an accountability partner would have helped. Some things I think, like personally, is that like batch working the storytelling part and having those filler posts ready so that when you're not feeling it, like it's already
Yeah.
prepared to go, which I didn't
Yeah.
have any of that ready.
And you know, that is the hard part when you're busy and you're not feeling it, as in you're not feeling like you want to show up because you're tired and I don't look great, or I'm got bags, or I'm, you know, it's that whole when you kind of feel like you don't want to show up.
Yeah,
It's
for
actually
sure. And we
having that
kept having
content
snow
ready
days.
to go,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other,
And look, I
yeah,
completely
for sure.
relate. That has been absolutely me this week. And I think the lessons are, it's about showing up, and it's about showing up and talking about your art, getting excited about your art, so that that excitement rubs off onto the others that are looking at it. It's interesting from my experience during the week. The most engaged post I had was the Zoom where live where I introduced the girls, and I was telling their story, and clearly I was upbeat and excited about it. And I'm like, I need to do more of that. But that is hard to do every day, right? So it's a real lesson, I think, in I actually think it goes way deeper than that too. It's actually, I think, about self-care. It's about, you know, understanding that there is a roller coaster of emotions as you lead into a launch, without doubt. No matter what it is, there seems to be this roller coaster of emotion. And I certainly feel it. And when you reached out to me, I'm kind of like, maybe this is a thing. Maybe this is just a normal, I thought at one point, actually, it was me.
You
Yeah.
had said something about maybe I'm not, or that you were gonna need to sit with them because you weren't ready to send them off into the world. And I'm like, maybe that's it. Like maybe I need to establish some sort of ritual for myself and my art before I prepare it to go out to other people. Like, you know, gratitude or goodbye or whatever.
And
whatever
that
it
does
may
help
be,
me.
depending
I
on the
sit with them on the
collection.
couch and have a cup of tea, you know, and have a cup of tea with them. And I kind of feel like, you know, I pack them all up. They're all in their cellophane sleeves and they're all packed up. And I sit with them and have a cup of tea. But yeah, I think it's just, it's an emotional time, because let's be honest, and Christy, I see that you've got a question we'll come to in a moment. It's an emotional time when you're letting your art go out into the world, because it's a part of you. Do you know, it's a part of you that people are going to love and resonate with, and it's an emotional time. And I actually think that it goes way deeper than that. And I actually think journaling through my process, and I've not read back. I've just literally written in my journal. I've not read back, but I look forward to the day that I can actually read back and unpack without the emotion of what that was. Yeah. And I do wonder, for me too, if it's a little bit of imposter syndrome. And I actually really want to put together a Zoom that we'll share in here on imposter syndrome. And there's imposter syndrome for all sorts of reasons, you know, not just artists, but writers. And, you know, I think when you start to question yourself, because your art it's not about the art. I'm pretty sure it's not about the art. The art is beautiful, right? It's not about the art. Yeah.
For sure. And like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, and I still, get, yeah. Oh, I guess even, before an art walk, before every sort of big event like this, I always have that self-doubt, and what if nobody
Yeah.
wants anything or no one shows up? Then for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So we need to figure out a way in this group. And I love that you guys give me these tasks, because it helps me provide content for you for where you're at. So I know what I need to do. So yeah. Christy, let's go to you. We've got a few questions up here now, Erika. So Christy, come off mute and ask your question. Hi.
Hi, Erika, I just wanted to say thank you so much it's just, you really have sort of, bared your soul for us.
Yeah.
And it's so honest, and it resonates so much with me too. I mean, I feel like I'm in a kind of a conundrum, because I have a lot, like 50 paintings in a gallery. It had slowed down. It's like, then I have to try and figure out, which do I focus here? Do I focus on an internet kind of thing and split my energies, or do I focus, and I feel like every day I keep shifting, and I'm really unsure. And I think a lot of it too is just feeling like I don't have I don't know if it's tools or knowledge, or do I look at more, like you said, like, gallery or whatever, things for people to attend. So I wanted to say thank you, because it really just reached, and Allie too. I just thank you so much, because it's, you walk around thinking you're just kind of alone in your head, suffering this. And a lot of us are too. And that it really helps hearing this from you. And so, not that I got all organized, but I just wanted to say that was very much appreciated.
Yeah.
And your little
Thanks,
hearts
Christy.
are beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Christy. And absolutely right. It's so brave of Erika to reach out to me and say, hey, I've been through this and I'd really like to share. And I'm like, I would love you to share,
Come let me lay on your couch. What's wrong with me?
I think it's so wonderful that people want to come and share, because it just adds to the richness of what we learn along the way. Hi, Drew. Come off mute and ask a question. Great to see you.
Okay, I want to reiterate what she said and say thank you also, Erika, and also Allie, for you addressing imposter syndrome. And because I think all of this is combined, most definitely. And I missed last week because I sent a text message later, whatever, saying I was visiting my daughter in Minnesota, and she's a hand paper maker, and we were talking about this, and and the fact that we get in our own way, and that we can't be worth what we think we're worth if we don't think we're worth it. If that made any sense. And also I think, you were saying like you weren't feeling it. I think too it's I think Allie and you have both said everything, but I just think it just stirred up all these feelings, and you think, well, was this the collection that I was meant to put out? And clearly, if 12 of 18 of them. So, but the thing was, in the beginning, you're just like, wow, am I feeling it? And you know what, though? I think also you're addressing your situation of where you live. And I think it's very important, too, no matter where we live or what position we're in. If your heart is in the right place, you're also such a valuable role model. You're saying 60% of the Syracuse is pathetically one of the poorest cities in the nation. I live outside of Syracuse, New York, and but I think, well, if I weren't to try and do what I do, and even and give back to my community, what kind of an example? What example do we want to set, but also who do we want to be and who do we want to represent? Even if it's just 50 cents a card that I donate back or something. I think when everybody sees this, from the littlest 2-year-old, to me, I'm going to be 63 in May. Dang, let's get this party going. I had to accept the fact too. I'm not too old to get going back here and try this. And I've never done this before. I didn't even use paint before 3 years ago. I mean, I was doing collage and all kinds of things. So I just really too appreciate your vulnerability and also all the things it brings up that then Allie you're willing to address. And I'm glad I could be here today, and I will mute myself again now.
Thank
I'm
you for
happy to hear y'all come on.
Yeah, thank
Go
you,
ahead.
Drew. Thank you for coming on.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Danny, hi.
Hi. So yeah, a few things jumped out at me and both of y'all sharing, which I'm very thankful that you shared, is the need to say goodbye to the relationship of the work that you've been working on. I'm actually need to make a book to show all my exhibitions for the last few years before I moved to England, to remind myself how much work and how much times I showed and how much I've sold, and because I forget. But I never used to sign my oil paintings until just before I delivered it to the gallery. I think I've told you all that before. So that you have to come up with some sort of routine of saying goodbye. And Ali has one where she sits and has tea with them. But possibly this routine has to be done not so close to your launch. Possibly. I don't even think about that one.
Interesting, Danny. I think you're spot on.
So
Because it's emotional,
business,
right? Yeah, you
yeah,
show up to your launch and you're still emotional about it. It's no longer a business transaction because you're still in this emotional turmoil of it all.
You see, before I would sign my
We
pieces,
had
they
this
would go to be
conversation during the week.
they would go to be framed. They would then be hung by the gallery. I didn't even go and look at how they were hung. I just let them do it. I fully trusted, except for one that I liked the best, that I put in the worst lit spot because I wanted to keep it. That's another thing. Do we have to sell everything in our exhibition? Can we keep one behind? I don't know. That's another thing. So do you have to say goodbye to all of them? Can you keep one behind? Okay, the other one was those gremlins of self-doubt that are imposter syndrome, that are mindset work that needs to be done. There are a couple of books that I've read along the way to try to help me with that, and that's Art and Fair, or I'd Rather Be in My Studio. But as an artist for years and an art therapist, I question at times, every time I sell a piece of art, that I question my self-worth in my pricing. My husband, my family always underpriced myself, but in Trinidad, my gallerists used to totally sometimes oversell or undersell. So that pricing, you still, even though there's ways of calculating it, sometimes you are plucking the price out of the air and you're so self-doubt about that. Am I worth it? Is my art worth that? And that's something that I think you always will struggle with, but that you just have to say, okay, I think I've priced it fairly. This is where I'm sticking at. I heard somebody say today, and I've done this, and I might do this next month in Trinidad. I know how much my paintings are, and I'll go, yeah, they're 1,500 in my head. And I'll go, oh, no, I'm just selling them for 1,000. And I go, but you just told yourself. So it all comes with the emotional attachment to these pieces of art that are like your kids. And another thing that Erika talked about that I found really interesting was, well, these were easy to do. I've done hard paintings before.
Yeah.
That was one thing that kind of hit me. I don't know where that, I know what you're saying. I know where you're at. Would harder paintings be able to sell better, you think, or easy ones, or we just don't know?
Such an interesting question, Danny, isn't it?
That's one question. The other question that I wanted to bring up before I end,
a good one,
was we are all in this online platform where we don't see our customers. we don't see them like in the show. We can't talk about that painting and say, oh, I really enjoyed when I did that painting. I was painting one day down and in front of your customer. So it's more of a struggle, which is, yes, those stories attached to them are very important.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of points I took from it. And thank you so much, ladies, for sharing. And it is very normal and to have meltdowns before, but try to add that into your process. So I now know that if I'm having a show and it's an online launch, basically 2 weeks before the date of finished painting, I have to now do all the tech stuff. So yeah, that's me.
That's such great
Thank you.
information, Danny. Thank you so much. Danny, can I just ask you, the books that you were talking about, Art and Fair, and I'd Rather Be in My Studio, did I get those titles correctly? Yeah.
Art and Fair has been around for years.
Would you be able to post the covers of those into the lab group?
Sure.
That would be fantastic. Thank you. And it's interesting. I've been making notes here like crazy because, and Danny, I know that you've done this masterclass. Danny and I both belong in an association, and we've been able to do some masterclasses about that. And one of them has been money manifesting. And I kind of went into it thinking, you know, me and my type A brain thinking, oh, this is going to be interesting. It was the best thing ever about how you should phrase things. And I would love to unpack some of this. I've got a great book, actually, which I think I need to read again because it just helps get your head in the right place. And it's called A Happy Pocket Full of Money. And it's actually about your psychology for money and how that impacts on your ability, not necessarily even selling, on your ability around wealth and whether you think you deserve it. It's a really, really interesting topic. So yeah, Danny, did you do that one? I think you have, haven't you?
Yep.
I think, yeah. And it's written, it's done by a woman by the name of Denise Duffield Thomas. Yeah. Who's Australian, actually. She lives on the Gold Coast. And she's written some fantastic books. One of them, and I possibly am going to get this title wrong, but it's something like Get Rich Lucky Bitch, something like that. Like that's kind of one of her titles. Yeah, they're a nice, easy, actually fascinating read. Yeah. Anita, hello. You've got a question.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Here we go. You can hear me. Okay.
Yep,
Erika,
gotcha.
thank you for sharing your story. I appreciate that. I actually heard it as a success story. I don't know how you frame it in your head, but I loved that you were like, and so I just decided to show up at 6 a.m. There I was, me and Canva. And you almost sold out. And I could totally relate to it. Because where I'm at, I don't have a current launch date set, but I was all about the goats. I'm like on Instagram, goats, posting goats, painting goats, everything was about goats. And then one of my paintings was a struggle and some of the joy went out and I'm like, oh, I don't want to deal with goats anymore. And now my Instagram engagement is just going down and I'm like, am I going to paint goats? Am I not going to paint goats? Am I just going to like, and do I show up? So I don't know if people sort of struggle with that. Like you're having fun, you're in it. You know, my brain's popping with all these ideas because I'm working with a animal sanctuary. So I am going to donate a goat painting and I'm going to donate like a flower thing with pig snouts. But as far as my own personal launch, I'm not excited about that. I'm excited about painting for a charity to raise money, but painting to make money for myself, I'm like, you know, I just like painting. So I don't know if my question makes sense. I'm just wondering if I should just show up. I decided to take a break and maybe imposter syndrome might be a piece of it.
And you know what, Anita? And I think actually taking a break sometimes is a fantastic idea. The problem is don't live there. Don't unpack and move in, right? Acknowledge the feelings for what it is and come back and show up. And that damn goat, put it in your chaos pile, bury it underneath a whole heap of something else and just get it out of there, right? It can come back and relive as something beautiful when she's ready, because she clearly, she had other things. She's got other things in mind. She doesn't want to be one of the goats in your collection.
Right.
You've got to get those goats out, Anita. They are fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. It's in my future, but yeah, it's a bummer that I have no desire to paint goats right now.
Yeah. It's I think too, it becomes a confidence thing. So it's a mindset. Something just slightly derails us, and then it's hard to get back there. It's hard to get back into that groove. And it's almost like the actual painting itself. You know how all of those paintings go through that really messy stage, and you're like, oh, is this going to work out? And sometimes you've just got to keep going and just keep pushing through, because that's actually when the magic happens.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Do you
Thanks,
have
Erika.
enough to do like a mini collection? I mean, it doesn't have to be a big full blown. I mean, you could just say, here are my 3 goat paintings and launch the 3 that you have, or however many, it doesn't have to be a big production. Maybe that's the baby step you need.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I have 4.
There you go.
I've actually already sold 3 because people reached out to me. So I have 4 that haven't been sold.
So Anita, I'm going to stop you right there, right? You've done 4, or have you done 3 that you've completed? Well, how many have you completed?
6 of a series. And then one of the goats, when I was learning how to paint goats, somebody reached out. So 2 were purchased by an animal sanctuary, and 1 was purchased by a glamour possum.
So there is a demand for it. Girl, show up.
Yeah.
You know how to do this. You've done it before.
Yeah. I'm curious about the imposter syndrome. I would like to look into that a little bit more.
Yeah. And, I will do a Zoom on that. I'm going to let me do some learning so I can show up with some really good information for you. But I've been writing down topics here like crazy for our next kind of 3-month stint, and imposter is at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Also launch leader, including, and we've got to factor in meltdown time. It's a thing, right? It really is a thing. Also there, saying goodbye to your art, like the process of what do we all do? What is our ritual for getting our art out into the world? And I think it's actually a bigger piece around mindset and allowing ourselves the time in the launch to do that. So I actually think that we come up with our own launch strategy. We actually throw away everything we've learned before and go, you know what? We actually need to allow time to sit and say goodbye. We need to allow the meltdown time. So now what does that look like? So I'm really keen to do that. I'd also really like to talk about pricing and formula for pricing art, and just getting some ideas and sharing those amongst ourselves. So we'll do that. Money manifesting, and actually manifesting of every kind, is such a fascinating subject. We'll talk about that as well. And then I've also got the art of storytelling. So we've got some fun topics in our next lot of Zooms. And if there's anything that you want covered, reach out and let me know. Because the other thing too is I'm really happy to reach out to other experts and bring them in to talk to us. I've actually got a girlfriend of mine here in Australia who is recognised by Canva as one of their top experts in Australia. She's a girlfriend of mine, and she is going to put together something and come on and share with us how we can get the most out of Canva, which will be fantastic. Helen, I see you. Hello, good morning. Come off mute and ask your question.
Yeah, so we were talking, good morning, everyone, or good evening for you guys. We were talking earlier at the beginning, Ali was talking about accountability, and Erika shared her story. And it sounds like at that point where, and I'm coming from a point of no experience. I've never done a launch. I've not sold a single piece. So, but it sounds like at that point when you're kind of going through that wobbly stage, or call it imposter syndrome, it's something I don't like to label, but that you maybe we need encouragement or a partner to say, you're okay, go for it. And that's kind of everybody goes through a phase like that in many different circumstances. And launch is like the same thing. You're just getting over the hill and you just need that last push. That
Absolutely.
was all I wanted to say.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that
And
helps.
Helen,
I think I would like it if it was me.
Yeah, Helen, accountability partners are a really great thing. But as part of this group, it's a lot to administer and to pair people up, and but if you're in the group and you want an accountability partner and you resonate with somebody else that's in this group, reach out to them and say, hey, would you like to buddy up with me as an accountability partner? Let's help each other achieve our goals. I'll be honest, I talk to Danielle most mornings, if not every second morning, because we're going on the same kind of journey. And so we're doing a lot of the same masterclasses and courses. Yeah. So therefore, we are sharing our knowledge and keeping each other accountable and on track. And I'm pushing her ass out of the procrasta research and into the procrasta action. Actually, not the procrasta action, the action. So, it's great to have an accountability partner, whether you do it formally or informally, but feel free to reach out to anybody else. So I'm going to take us all off spotlight now and open up so that we can see everybody here. There we go. And feel free to ask any questions at all about anything. Dottie, hi, I see you've got a question.
Yeah, so I just want to say that, I don't sell or anything like that. However, I do miss Judy. I want her to hear this, the accountability the insiders, that little group that you had going, because even though I don't sell, it kept me on track. It would be something similar like, okay, this week I need to take the time to watch one, new video, or, send out 2 cards or whatever it was. And it really, really was so helpful. So I would think all of you who are selling, finding an accountability partner, I know just for me personally, it was amazing the difference between getting nothing done since Christmas or, since that went away. Was really
Dottie,
helpful.
We are extremely fortunate, and with the Insider Studio not being able to provide the subgroups to everybody, I know that was a big issue for Amanda. So all the subgroups disappeared, which means the accountability group disappeared. So I'm like, Judy, I'm nabbing you. Like, if you would still like to do accountability, I would love you to come and do it as part of this group. And I think what's really nice about this group is that we are a really nice, tight group. We are open and vulnerable with everybody, and we're able to share. And I think that there is a little bit more comfort in that than doing it with 1,800 other people who you don't really know, right? There's probably, 200 or 300 engaged people in the Insider Studio. So it's fantastic. And Judy, we are so thankful that you're here and keeping us on track and whipping our ass.
Well, not quite that. I still love your favorite saying. I won't say it now, but I am still available for accountability. If anybody wants to pop it in there, I will come back and talk to you about it and push you onward. I'm not selling because I choose not to, but the February Flowers has helped me post things within my Facebook group that a lot of people didn't know I really did art. And now I've got 2 people wanting to buy my art. And
Because
it's
it's
like,
stunning, Judy. It is so beautiful.
but I
It
don't
is.
sell, give it away. So, but I am available, and I love to talk to people, and I'm retired, so I do have a lot of time. So
Yeah.
just wanted to say that.
Judy, I do want to tell you, because you and I, we've talked about this. We're on the same thing. I don't sell. I don't want to sell. I don't want the pressure of selling. My grandson's requests are enough pressure for me, but I have to admit, it was a real boost to my confidence back in November when, because of the accountability group, I decided I was going to have one packet a day. It was only $20 a day. That was my goal for the whole month of November. I got more painting done that month. The damn things took forever. They were probably made 5 cents an hour on them, but I donated
Fabulous.
$600, kind of like what Anita's done, $600 to, one of my best friends, the director of it, charity. And I felt so good about that. So I could really see the boost that all of you who sell, the boost in confidence you get from that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it is. Absolutely. If someone says, "Ooh, I'd like to buy that," well, it's like, "Oh, wow, really?"
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you feel really,
right.
you do.
Well, it was funny. This morning I had this meeting at my house, and everyone knits. We've been getting together for 40 years to knit every Friday morning, and my arthritis, I can't knit anymore. So I was, putting into cards my party birds. I kind of did them for a little Valentine gift. And like 3 people, like, I want to buy one. I want to buy one. I'm like, well, they're not for sale. I'm like, I don't want that. Well, but I want one. And so then there's a local charity, and I'm like, okay. But then the funny thing was, as you all addressed this, my favorite ones were in the group, and those were the ones people wanted first. I'm like, no, that one's not for sale. And they're like, well, why not? It was only $5 a damn card. I'm like, well, because that's my favorite, and I'm not willing to sell it. They said, so you mean we'll take the rejects? And I'm like, yeah, you're welcome to those. It's cheaper than a Target card. So yeah, take that.
Oh, Dottie, you're funny. You're funny. Does anybody else have any questions either on accountability or on anything else that they're tackling during the week? Did you see my email about the ease of setting up a landing page to collect your email addresses? It is, don't overthink it. It's really easy to go into either MailChimp or ConvertKit. Both do it free and offer you the landing pages. You don't need a website, and just set up a little bit of page about you, a photograph, and have people opt in so that you can collect their email addresses. You don't have to do anything with them. You don't have to do newsletters or anything. But the fact is that you are collecting their email addresses so that if something was to happen to social media and Instagram even crashed for a week or got sold or whatever, you know how to contact your followers. So don't overthink that you need a website and all of the things. You don't. A simple landing page will help you do that. Hi, Christy.
There we go. Hi, I just wanted, as you were talking, I was thinking about something, which it's kind of there, but maybe reframing is, how with our art, it's, obviously it's not just the art. There's a lot of things that can derail us that are, from the outside. And it's like, I think it's sort of realizing where that's coming from. Like, is it coming from just feeling insecure about, just our work? Or is it something happening, in our lives or whatever? And that brought me back to journaling. And I've been terrible at journaling, but that's going to be a goal, Judy.
Yeah.
Is that getting back to journaling, even if it's a page, it doesn't have to be 3,
No.
but just so that I'm able to read, go back and look and understand that maybe, wow, this is really sidelining me. So, because I know right now there's something that's kind of knocking me off. I'm painting. I keep going back to painting. I can produce paintings, but just sort of figuring out, now what, where I
And
channel
Christy, that's
everything.
the beauty of doing morning pages, right? In the morning before you are completely awake and you're just going blur on the page, right? And then you go back and you can read and go, wow, I actually didn't realize that this is an issue and it keeps coming up for me.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating. Yeah. Yeah. It's so much about, I'm such a massive fan of journaling. There is so much value in it for so many reasons. Yeah. Which is why I'm doing the 5 years, so I can look back and, over, especially once you start getting into the second, third, fourth year, and look back at what you were doing on that day years earlier. Yeah. Danny, you had your hand up. Did you have your hand
I was
up?
just going to say something quickly
Yeah.
about boundaries. For me, I have to be very careful who looks at my work, when they look at my work, when I'm making my work. There's boundaries. Nobody is usually allowed in and out and can comment on anything until the work is done. Unless it's a child. Because the children come with you honestly and tell you as it is, and they help you through a problem. They even can mix paint better than you. Even when you put the quantities of paint down for them to mix, they can get the color. So, but adults in their nice way say something and that can stop you in your tracks. Now, we're not always lucky that we can close our door and nobody sees our work. Some people paint on their dining room table. The people around that dining room table need to be respectful of your boundaries.
It's a really good point, Danny. It's a really good point. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions? Drew, did I see your hand? Is your hand waving? Yes.
Yeah, it is, because I couldn't find my little hand thing again. I was going to play off her boundaries and your I journal too, but another artist that I have followed since a few years before the pandemic, Connie Solera, she encourages artists to have a studio journal. So when you enter your studio or you enter your art space, you keep it just for that.
Yes.
And that I think too is another boundary situation, if you have one, because I agree with Danny immensely. Adults can cut you to the quick.
Yeah.
And but if you're processing your art in your own book, I think it's much easier for you to go back, and kids do have a blunt honesty, but I think we also internalize it differently than when a peer is criticizing us.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was interesting that she encouraged you to have a studio journal.
I love that idea. Absolutely love that idea. And a very dear friend of all of ours, Vicky Sutherland, she's actually doing that this year herself. She's journaling her art journey through herself. I am too, actually. I have 2 5-year journals, one a personal and one not studio, but more my art journey for the year and my ideas and thoughts, so that I can then go back and look at that again. And for me, it was actually more about progression and reflecting back on collection ideas and, being a little bit more.
But it's separate. So that to me is the important part too, because like I was just saying, my daughter all of a sudden realized I have to separate my journals. I can't have my work and my daily calendar and my paper making stuff in the same place, because then you can't find what you need.
Who was the artist that suggested the studio journal, Drew?
Connie Solera. She's wonderful.
Yeah, fantastic. I'm really interested in going to have a look, actually, and seeing what she captures and what she does. Fantastic. Does anybody have anything more before we close off?
Ellie, I have just one little tiny thing, and it's something that I saw. It's a interior designer in Chicago featured an artist, and this guy's work is just beautiful. He's done, galleries, possibly some museums and stuff. He's offering this course, and I haven't gotten to really dig into it yet, but he's offering a course for like 75% off. It's like $25. And it's about educating you on how to plan, organize, and apply for shows, museums, all these different things. So if anybody's interested in that, I can forward his page to you. I think it ends Sunday, but I thought it was so cheap. I should just let you know. I'm thinking about doing it. I'm not quite sure. I don't know if it's sort of outside of my, scope, but I thought it was interesting. Danny, I thought of you. But he just has a lot of insight and experience in this stuff. So if anybody was interested, I can forward you. He's on Instagram and I can send him to you. Okay, that's it.
Yeah, fantastic. Actually, Christy, maybe post that in the group also.
Yeah.
There
Okay.
just might be somebody else that's not on this call that would be
Okay.
really interested into knowing that. That would be fantastic. If you wouldn't mind just posting it and adding the link in so anybody
Mhm.
can go and research, that would be brilliant. Thanks, Christy.
Sure.
So good. And again, friends, don't if you come across something that looks great that you think other people might like to know about, don't be afraid to go post it and add links. I'm all for that. I'm all for about making, sharing with everybody. You just never know who else in this group might be interested in finding out about a course or something else, because that's why we're all here. We're all here to learn. Awesome. All right. Well, have a really great rest of your Friday for most of you that are here. And it is, I've got to tell you, Saturday looks mighty fine in Australia. The sun's shining. We're in for a heat wave again this weekend. And my garden badly needs attention. So I might be doing that a little bit later in my swimmers. We'll see how that goes. So for those of you that are battling winter, I'm sending you some warmth, love, and sunshine. All right, I'm going to stop recording and